Hi, this is Deb Atkinson, the Voice for Fitness, and this is a foam roller I'm sitting on. I'm going to demonstrate a few foam rolling exercises, and really foam roller has multiple uses. So when I say exercises, actually that made me think twice. There are reasons that you could use a foam roller for specific exercises. This is probably a little bit more along the lines of stretching. We call it, in personal training, we call it myofascial release. So basically, you've got muscles. So your calf muscle goes from behind your knee, crossing that joint, down to below to your ankle, and it runs the length of that. When we stretch, we're stretching the muscle through the length of it and generally trying to get the joints that it crosses at an angle where we stretch it optimally. What you're doing when you use a foam roller, the myofascia lays across the top of the muscle, and a lot of times it creates tension. That connective tissue can get bound up, and especially if you don't spend a lot of time stretching, if you either are very inactive for long periods of time, and sometimes if you're active for periods of time, you may also genetically have a tendency to have connective tissue that tends to grab up, or places in your body where you get knots. So regardless, here's the rule of thumb. If you feel like your muscles are tight and you lost flexibility, you can tell that if you are flexing and extending at your ankle joint and you feel like you don't have range of motion that you normally do, then you probably do need to stretch. If you have that feeling of I'm tight, but you haven't lost a range of motion, then you may need something like a myofascial release with a foam roller or a massage. So essentially this is self-massage. Now it doesn't feel quite as good, so there's a love-hate relationship with it. But that's your rule of thumb of how to use it. Or best time to use it would be right before you do a stretch. And a good way to decide, has it been effective for me to use that, is to start and do a stretch, kind of gauge what is my range of motion here if I were to raise my shoulder up, and then go through a series of foam rolling exercise, and then come back and repeat the same stretches or go through that range of motion again. So if I were to roll my upper back and then maybe roll down through my lats a little bit and then come back and do the stretch, I may not, in terms of what you see, gain more range of motion, but it might feel a lot easier flowing up rather than having to put it back there. It may just go more naturally, which means you're probably more comfortable just moving through range of motion and going about your daily activities, not to mention exercising, becoming more comfortable.